Tariffs are rocking the boat for the yachting industry, with some companies starting to feel the pain. Contessa Brewer is live in Tampa with that story. Hi, Contessa.
Hi there, Tyler. You know, a lot of people know what a finished yacht looks like, but I'm standing here on the bow of this BERTRAM 61-footer under construction. This is a boat that might have been headed to a very serious European buyer, except that 25% retaliatory tariff tacked on an additional $1 million to the $4 million price tag. The buyer balked, the sale stalled, and that's not the only one. Right now, all sales that BERTRAM Yachts was making to Europe have been put on ice at this point, and they're not the only one. The CEO tells me his fellow manufacturers are riding some rough waves these days, slapped with the retaliatory tariffs to their biggest export markets, Canada, Mexico, the EU. 15% of all of the boats and the engines manufactured in the United States are heading for those overseas markets. Unless you shrug this off to rich people problems, the 90 employees here say they're not rich. And by the way, they remember when a luxury tax of 10% was applied and sales dried up.
They're the blue-collar workers. They're the ones that got hurt by the luxury tax, and they're the ones that get hurt by this. Somebody's going to lose their job, and nobody likes that. That feeling goes over the whole plant. Who's next? Me?
But look, on the upside, domestically, demand is up, and thanks to a strong economy. Still, price hikes are coming because there's also tariffs on the Chinese imported materials, things like all the fiberglass that's required to make these boats. So the people here say they wonder when that's going to trickle down to their jobs. It could have a real impact, guys.
Contessa, this gets my attention because the boating industry here in the U.S. and boat manufacturing has always been seen as more of sort of domestic indicator. Domestic economic growth, consumer sentiment, what the stock market here is doing, and you see a correlation between that and boat sales. So when I hear you talking about the manufacturers here making these boats to sell them to places like Europe, that sounds a bit like a shift to me. I'm wondering, is this more of a story at the higher end, or are you seeing this all through the sort of different price points on boats?
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce says that in Florida alone, the boat making, excepting outboard motors, right? So this is all boat making, is the biggest industry affected by tariffs in this one state alone. And overall, 15% of these boats are heading to overseas markets. And take BERTRAM's CEO, for instance. You know, he said, look, our growth plans, we're in growth mode right now. Our growth plans really included overseas markets. And the roiling trade war has put a lot of uncertainty in this. And how often have we heard this refrain? Uncertainty is a business killer.